Hey everyone, it's Dave here. Welcome back to the Old Dirty Basement Podcast. Got some exciting news to share with you all today.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. We are thrilled to introduce a brand new feature to our podcast, Fan Mail. You can now send your letters, questions, and stories, and we'll read them right here on our show.
Absolutely, Matt. This is your chance to be part of the podcast. We want to hear everything you have to say, whether it's fun facts, fan theories, or just a shout out. Send it our way. Zap, you want to tell them how they can send us fan mail?
Absolutely, Dave. All you need to do is go to our episode descriptions and click the fan mail link to send us a text. It's super easy to use. Don't worry, your phone number won't be shared. Everything we see is confidential. It's just between us. Remember, folks, this podcast is for you, and we want you to be a part of it. So don't hesitate. Send in your fan mail today. We might just read your letter in our next episode. All right, that's our exciting news for today. Can't wait to get your fan mail. And as always, I'm Zap.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Dave, signing off from the Old Dirty Basement Podcast. And we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On this week's episode, we're covering Scott Skurlock.
A man who had all the potential in the world, but chose a path of self-destruction.
Yeah, it's the Treehouse of Horrors is not just for Simpsons Halloween episodes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this one was cool, and we hope you enjoy it. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. Speaking of which, if you are, leave us that 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple, 5-star rating, and a written review. And sit back, relax, and enjoy Scott Skurlock.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
History.
And copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right.
Hey, this is Dave,
Matt.
And Zap.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
where every week we cover a true crime,
Murder.
Or compelling story.
so sit back.
Relax.
And comprehend.
Hello, old friends and new, and welcome back to another edition of the Old Dirty Basement. I am Matt. With me always is Dave and Zap. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
I too am well.
Good. Like I was saying before, it's a Sunday morning here in the basement, and heard from my mom today I should be at church.
Yeah.
She lied.
I told her, I was like, Mom, it's okay. I have stuff to do. I'll be down in the basement.
See,
But I think she'll be all right with it.
you come here first, then you have stuff to confess for, for confession.
True.
When you're done here, you know what I mean?
I think church is what you make it. And we could consider this church, really.
Yeah, true.
That's true. But this one today, Matt, you found it on a show on Netflix, How to Rob a Bank.
Yes. Well, I thought it was interesting because like a lot of the crimes we do here, and I just saw I had no idea. I thought it was fake, actually. I had no idea what it would be about. If anybody does have Netflix, which pretty much what the entire nation probably does.
300-some million globally, I think.
Yeah, I mean, not just nation, globally. You need to check this out. Because if you're interested in any kind of true crime, anything that appeals to you in that direction, I think this thing would be great to watch. It's a good watch.
Are we talking about the Netflix show or are we talking about the guy?
Talking about the guy, but they actually did
guy.
they did a special on Netflix, How to Rob a Bank.
How to Rob a Bank. So
Yeah.
that guy, not the Netflix show, but the guy associated with the show is Scott Skurlock.
No shit, Skurlock.
Yeah, it was just, damn it. Yep. I figured it was one of us was going to get to that sooner or later.
I figured it would come up.
Scott Skurlock.
There was a show on Netflix about this guy, about everything is going to go down today.
Well, it's not a show. It's a whole movie. It's just one. Yeah, you don't even have to watch like 3 episodes or anything.
No.
It's
Just
just
like
one good
documentary.
watch.
Thank you, Netflix, for bringing this to Matt's attention. And thank you, all of us, for looking deeper into Scott Skurlock. So let's begin. Born in 1955, Scott grew up in Fairfax County, Virginia. He exhibited a rebellious streak from an early age, often finding himself at odds with authority figures, particularly his father, who was a minister. Despite his troubled youth, Scott was both intelligent and charismatic, 2 traits that would later define his criminal career. Throughout his teenage years, Scott's behavior became increasingly erratic. He frequently clashed with his parents, who struggled to understand their bright yet unpredictable son. Indeed, Scott was arrested several times for minor offenses, such as vandalism and petty theft, further straining his relationship with his family. So this just sounds like a rebellious kid. I mean, this is just a kid. Was he an only child? Did he have brother, sister?
He definitely had a sister. I don't know about a brother or anything like that, but he did have a sister. I know one thing: Fairfax County, very rich area, wealthy.
For sure. For sure. I mean, you're talking the outskirts of D.C. Those people just puddle jump right over the river there, and that's where they're working.
But when Zap was saying, I mean, the vandalism, petty theft, that's all stuff that any kid. It doesn't mean you're like a horrible bad kid growing up. You're just branching out a little bit. You're trying to see what you can't get away with.
Correct.
It doesn't mean you're a horrible person.
You are just pushing the envelope. We all push the envelope. The difference between us and Scott Skurlock is that we didn't get caught. Like, that's it. Like, any one of us, any kid growing up is going to do things like vandalism, this, that, petty theft.
Yeah, try to grab a candy bar in the line and run out a giant. It happens, and it's not that big of a deal. But I don't think those are, like, his formative years, I don't think that's anything that made him into the person that he was.
Nope.
So a couple of things they talked about on there. His sister actually said he was like a big adrenaline junkie, and obviously into adulthood. But when he was like 15 or 16, him and a friend stole a van, and they drove it down to the beach. They stole it from like a daycare nearby.
That's awesome.
So that's something that's a little more extreme than like most kids would do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But
that's pushing it a little bit.
So that one was a little bit like, oh, okay, wait a minute. And then he also had a friend that they would have these model homes in like the neighborhood. So this is a rich area.
Oh, I thought they were like good looking.
Yeah, model homes that are good looking. But him and his friend would pick locks just to get into the house to kind of like hang out and mess around. They would never steal anything.
Right.
He was like, we just wanted to learn how to pick locks. Yeah. And just to get on the other side of the door, basically.
We all did that as kids because wherever they were building new homes, I remember trying to get it. You would go into the back to see if that like the sliding doors were open, or trying to get through a window.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, and you didn't do anything bad. You didn't break anything. You just wanted to get in there.
Right.
This may or may not surprise you. When new homes are being built, and like at least nowadays, people will drive by and stop their cars and get out and walk through. And this is just regular people. These are just curious or nosy people that'll just walk through the house. Like, again, it's stage after stage after stage of its construction. And I look at that thinking like, dude, that's not your property. Like, you're trespassing. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, it's not open to the public. Or
people
anything.
don't think twice about it. They just stop and walk through.
Oh, yeah. I know when we had our house built, we'd come over and walk through it. But I know people would tell me, oh, we went over and walked through your house. Like, it was built in 2009.
That's messed up, man.
But
bums.
Also, one thing that his sister said, like, he wouldn't lie, but he would just, like, leave things out when he would tell you stuff.
Sure.
Like, he wasn't really, Matt, I thought you would like that one. So he wouldn't lie. He just wouldn't tell the whole truth. He would leave out little things to kind of, like, mislead you.
Of course.
So he was, as a kid, she said this is how he was.
Or even like a truth lie to his mom. He'd be like, yeah, Mom, I was at the store. I stole like 5 things today. Brought it home.
Well, that's
She's like, okay.
One, yeah.
Oh, Scott,
Stop
you're
it.
so silly.
He's like, well, look, I told you.
Yeah, what do you want me to do?
He was super smart though. Like the kid was, I wouldn't say genius, but they said he was very, very smart growing up.
I wonder if as we go through this, that could in fact be a cause. So we've seen that with any number of our true crime people or compelling story people. That the more intelligent they are, it's almost like they get fidgety, like they need something more to do.
Or life's boring you at this point.
Correct.
Where it's like, this sucks. I need to do something else.
Yep.
Not challenge. I wonder if there was
Very good point, Zap.
I wonder if there's any head injuries or anything like that. A lot of times you'll hear like a traumatic event as a child.
Like he was a good looking dude.
Yeah, that they happen too.
Head injury.
Yeah, that wouldn't be as good. But no, if you fall off and hit your head off the swing or something like that, you hear about these kids as when they're young changing. Then after that, they take more risks. They do different things.
I don't know. Turn into Rain Man or something.
No, you've heard about killers and stuff that they had issues like as a kid, like head injuries. Like Richard Ramirez fell off a dresser or something like that, and cracked his head. Not to say that we're comparing what's to come with Richard Ramirez, but I always wonder about that stuff with these guys.
I'm going with Zap's point of just like getting fidgety, getting bored with the everyday because he just needed something to
challenge him.
Yeah, he was just bored.
I think. Well, let's find out more, shall we?
Yes.
As Scott entered adulthood, he ventured westward, seeking a fresh start. He enrolled at the University of Washington, where he majored in environmental studies. Although Scott found a passion for nature and the environment, He also began experimenting with drugs, a habit that would later fuel his criminal activities. In 1974, Scott took a break from college and moved to Hawaii. For a brief period, he embraced the relaxed island lifestyle, working as a carpenter, landscaper, and a laborer on a tomato farm. However, financial struggles and a growing addiction to drugs led him down a darker path. It was in Hawaii that Scott's knack for creating elaborate disguises began to develop. The disguises were used to avoid detection while committing minor crimes to support that drug habit of his. Honing his skills in deception and disguise, it was these very skills that would later earn him the moniker Hollywood Bandit.
Yeah, some of these disguises, I mean, I'm sure they got better as he went along, but got me to thinking about, they have these masks now, these latex masks that you can slide over your face. I mean, they're super tight. And they're lifelike.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys have seen these, but I'm looking back in the day here when you had to put all this makeup on and do and stuff to like put on the disguise. It's not always like fooling anybody. But I guess that wasn't always the point with this. It was just to make them think for a second or two. But I wonder like what he started with back then when he first got into it, like just a mustache.
Probably.
Like, you know what I mean? Or like one of those
a mustache and a trucker hat or something.
It was a hat like the big like sunglasses our dads would wear.
Yep.
And like a mustache or like a fake beard.
You think that's what he started with? Yeah.
Oh, of course.
So as I was reading up on this guy, while he was working at that tomato farm, there was so I guess down the way or near, because it's only an island, right? It's only so big. So not too far away from the tomato farm, somebody was growing pot.
Oh.
And this guy ended up, him and his one buddy went over and they stole a bunch of the plants and he ended up selling them. And then he said, oh, okay, well, so he gets this, idea. Well, if I can grow these plants, I can sell more. So he started growing these plants in the tomato farm that he was working at.
Oh, wow.
Like this secluded little section, like surrounded by tomatoes, whatever. Anyway, they ended up the owners or whomever ended up finding it and he got fired. But yeah, man, this guy is, by this time, like 19, he tried college, jumped out of it, went to Hawaii. Fuck it. I'm going to start growing pot.
He doesn't seem like a settler. Like he just always looking to like expand, make more money.
No buckles on his shoes.
No buckles on his shoes. That's right.
So think about that. And that's a very good point, Dave. This cat came up in Virginia, went way west to Washington to go to school. And
Washington State. And then from there, went even further over to Hawaii. Like this guy's just, moving and shaking. I wish I had that growing up.
The drive.
Like, or just that, ambition or something to do something different. To be like, look, I've been here my whole life. I'm going to pack up, go, out west. Then, hey, I'm kind of bored with this. Let me go to Hawaii or even another country. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that was part of his smarts. Like maybe just like, I'm bored with this. I'm bored with that. He couldn't really stay at one place long.
He was a free spirit for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, man,
had that hippie attitude.
I wish I would have done that too.
Or even go to like another country, or maybe like even ended up getting a job somewhere, doing something cool, or
have some cool pictures to look back on.
Like,
look
or ended up in like some like wine field or wine country somewhere, like making wine or making some sort of like cool exotic liquor. I don't know.
All my pictures from are like in people's basements or like living rooms. You know what I mean?
That's all I got. It's all I got.
Yeah.
There's no natural landscape. There's no other countries. It's just other people's basements.
Let's take a look back in the book here. You see, there's me in Tony's basement.
Yeah, hanging out.
Traveled. Shit, yeah, I traveled, man. I went to Sean's basement. I went to Jimmy's basement.
Basements.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Like I would be when you see like Facebook and stuff, these people, all these pictures, like, oh, where's that? Italy? Oh, that's France. Oh, Portugal. Like, oh, that's Kramer's basement.
That's funny.
Dave could go to Europe and say, "Fuck it, I don't need the countryside. I want to see all of the basements in Europe." Could you show me the Vatican's basement?
Do you know where that is?
I see there's you got a vineyard here. Do you keep the casks downstairs? Can you show me the basement?
Yes.
Yeah.
At least with Kramer's basement, some of the pictures look foreign.
For sure.
No, they did. It was like a tiny. No, you ever see those homes in other countries?
That big rug.
Yeah, he had that rug from. I think that was from like it was a Mongol rug or something.
It could have been tapestry.
Yeah, it was Mongolian.
One other thing on this, and I heard in Hawaii, like this is according to a girl that I knew that moved there, they do not like mainlanders. Like
Correct.
when you move out there, they kind of look down on you. It's not like when you're vacationing there, which I've never vacationed there, but according to her, like it's hard to fit in there, and so I wonder if he had problems with that.
You don't want to be a haole.
Yeah, that's right. That movie that we
North
did.
Shore. Yeah, they hate Americans there from the mainland. Another thing too is the homeless population. I think there is going nuts.
Oh, for real?
In Hawaii, because it's such great weather, people are just moving there and living along the beach.
It's a good place to do it, I guess.
Yeah, it's gonna do it in Hawaii.
Whatever. I don't understand. How would they get that far? I guess all they got to do is buy. Yeah, no, Christ.
On that's like a raft.
That's a hell of a raft ride.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Castaway, but damn,
it happens.
There was a guy just got killed by a shark there.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
In Hawaii.
Yeah, he was in movies. Blue Crush. He was in a couple. He was like a extra in movies and stuff. But they said like it's so rare for a shark attack since they started counting them. I guess I don't know what year. There's only been like 9 fatalities by sharks. So, but of course, this guy, he was a surfer. And it's just funny talking about Hawaii. I just thought of that. It was just the other day.
Well, yeah. An odd fact about the shark attacks is the people, they just die from bleeding out. It's not exactly the initial attack, but the shark has so many sharp teeth that they just take a chunk out of you and just sit on the beach and bleed out.
I just watched Jaws yesterday.
Great.
Oh,
great
for real?
movie.
The OG one.
I can't wait. The OG, I can't wait for us to do that one.
Did you hear about their trying to do origin stories?
Of what?
Like Jaws origin?
Jaws origin stories.
How the fuck do you do that? This is where the shark was born.
No, not on Jaws. They wanted to do it on who was the captain?
Oh, yeah. The old
shit.
The crotchety guy.
Yeah,
you all know me.
that guy.
Here's to
Ahab.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
Yes, they were making an origin story on him. I think that'll be great.
That'd be awesome.
Yes,
cool.
he's a cool dude. Like him in the military or coming up as a kid. Like he lived a hard life, man.
Man, it's a hard knock life. But he did it. I'm proud of him. He killed a shark.
Did he?
He had.
If anybody hasn't seen the movie,
Shit, we'll find out.
Did he kill that shark?
We'll find out.
Possibly.
All right. Well, back to school. Scott returned to the mainland in 1978, finding his way to Olympia, Washington, and enrolling in Evergreen State College's medical program, where he discovered he had a knack for chemistry.
Foreshadowing.
He swiftly learned how to make methamphetamine, and soon thereafter began producing and selling it, using the school's chemistry lab as his means of production.
That sounds like something
Like Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it sounds like a Breaking Bad type plot there.
Life imitates art, imitates life. With just 1 credit shy of graduating, Scott was expelled from school after he'd been caught using the chemistry lab for his illicit purposes. Don't worry, Scott was okay. He'd made plenty of money from his collegiate drug business. He used that money to buy a house on 10 acres outside of Olympia, which he then used as a meth lab to continue his pursuits. After 10 years or so, Scott's methamphetamine production came to a screeching halt when his distributor was murdered. Scott ceased production immediately. But by now, Scott had developed an extravagant lifestyle and an addiction to the rush of being in an illegal trade. He needed to find a new and comparable means of income. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
And which way? What do you mean?
This guy goes to college. Your mom goes to college.
Yeah.
So this guy goes to college to be a doctor. He went into the medical program. While he's there, he finds he has a knack for chemistry, and then he starts making meth.
That's wild.
And he says, fuck that. Fuck this doctor stuff. I'm just going to make meth. I can make good money on that.
I didn't know meth was that big of a thing in like the late 70s. I thought that like came into like
prominence or whatever.
Yeah, prominence or what's that word? I can't even think of it. But yeah, it came into prominence just early 2000s.
Yeah, I'm not sure about drug timelines on that,
Yeah.
like when that would have been a thing. But I mean, that's kind of like educational edging. You get that close to be a doctor,
1 credit away.
and then you're like,
1 credit.
Nah,
But no,
I'm good.
'cause-
I'm just gonna stop.
He was good because it was work. I don't think he wanted to work in the way that regular people hold a 9 to 5.
No. And nobody really wants that per se. I mean, this
No.
guy just saw an easy out.
Yeah.
But to be that smart, like you were saying, and I don't know, one of you guys were saying about how this guy probably just wants to be challenged, and he's like, I'll be a doctor.
He's no dummy.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
But he had all that at his fingertips. Like he said, well, shoot, I got to do nothing. I can stay after school to study. And
Yeah.
he's just,
Wink, wink.
yeah, he's just there putting meth together.
and it's quick money, you know what I mean? Easy money. Quick
Shit,
money.
yeah. Shit, yeah. I was reading a little bit more about this guy. So that house in Olympia he had, the house on 10 acres, that was the meth lab. And
it
while
was like right off the road there, kind of.
And while that remained a meth lab, he actually built a tree house on the property.
Oh, yeah, that was a badass.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
He built a tree house on the property, and him and his buddies are hanging out there.
I will tell you, too, important date that the next part we'll get into, but July 12th, 1991, there was a movie release called Point Break.
Yeah.
You guys familiar with that movie?
Absolutely.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We're going to cover that one here, too, someday.
Awesome.
But no, that's what, I think Dave will get into. He based a lot of himself on that movie.
Oh, okay. Let's see if we get there. I think this next section might get us there.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Well, Scott had remained connected with old college friends, many of whom were shocked at the transformation they saw in Scott. The once idealistic environmentalist had become a shadow of his former self, driven by a desperate need for money and an insatiable thirst for thrill. With the extravagant lifestyle to feed, Scott began contemplating larger, more audacious crimes, specifically bank robbery. Scott's first heist took place on June 25th, 1992 in Seattle, with his friend Mark Biggins as his accomplice. Though the robbery didn't go as planned, Scott remained committed to the trade and relished in the adrenaline rush he derived from it. His next heist, complete with elaborate makeup and prosthetics, proved far more successful. He went on this one alone and escaped with a significant amount of cash. His meticulous planning and ability to alter his appearance left law enforcement baffled. This crime marked the beginning of his career as the Hollywood Bandit.
No, what were you saying about the Point Break movie there, Dave?
Yeah, so he went and saw Point Break with a friend. This is one of those rare occurrences where, to me, I would have thought when you told me about this story that Point Break was the movie made after this guy's life. But it's actually the other way around, that the movie actually inspired him to go on and do what he's about to do. So it got me to thinking, like, how often do you think that happens? That, I mean, I know like kids sometimes are inspired by a movie, maybe like, oh, we're about to cover a movie coming up, Warriors, where people went and saw that movie and then were like, oh, let's start a gang. Or
They did.
Yeah.
Well, so there was fights and all kind of shit after war. That's a great example. That people went to see Warriors, and after Warriors, there was gang violence.
Right. So how often do you think that happens with an adult, like somebody that's at this time he's in his late 20s?
I don't know. OJ killed his wife. Maybe since then, people went on to kill their wife, hoping they could get away with it.
Allegedly.
True, yeah.
Allegedly.
But you know what I'm saying? Like with a movie, though, you go see a movie and you're like, say 30 years old, you're like, shit, I'm going to do that. Like, it just seems like something to me that would be the other way around, where events happen and they make a movie about it.
Well, watching Point Break would have seemed so far-fetched that you couldn't get away with something like that, but he pretty much based it right on that, even like the disguises, not the president type thing, but
close.
He was looking at, maybe a latex disguise. And the first time he did try this turned out to be a complete disaster. Him and his buddy Biggins, they got out of there like immediately. They were like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, something definitely went awry with Biggins. Like as soon as he was in there, like that whole first one, it did not go well. Hell, they were driving away. Biggins was so afraid, if I read correctly, Biggins was so afraid or so nervous or so amped up from the whole experience, he ended up flooding the engine where they were trying to get in the getaway car, so they had to go on foot. Okay, so now they're just running around town like. I don't know.
Back and forth.
It was just like
they ran through a golf course, like they ran through all kinds of shit, just with bags on their backs. Oh, don't mind us. We're just dudes in disguise, running as quickly as we can with bank bags and shit.
10,000 hours, right? They say you have to do to become like an expert at something.
10,000 hours.
And they also said their first bank robbery was a couple thousand. It wasn't even much. Yeah, it wasn't even anything.
Brings me back to another point they brought up on the documentary that I didn't really think about. But Seattle at the time, early 90s, it was like a huge tech boom.
Sure.
You had Microsoft, Amazon, Bezos, and that was out there.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Boeing's headquartered out there.
Yep.
They said like that Seattle area saw a huge boom in money, basically. Now, Matt, don't you have a relative out there or something in Seattle?
Yes, I have a couple.
So
one in Portland area, one in Bellevue, Washington area.
And also the counterculture coming out with grunge music.
Sure.
They were talking about that, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, all this, and kind of like fuck the establishment, that type shit. So I don't know, maybe that stuff was inspiring them too. Like, hey, let's fuck the man and go rob a bank,
It became prime as the Seattle and surrounding area economy grew exponentially. You got a lot of people with a lot of money
Yeah.
at a time when cash was. So look, I still use cash all the time, but it's certainly I'm now rare compared to other people.
Oh, yeah, I thought you would use like the card to get points to build the points.
I don't give a shit about that.
Okay.
No.
I don't have time to track it, and I find that that point stuff or the whatever stuff, it's so much of a hassle to try to trade in on something. Now I guess I like the cash back cards or like the 1%.
Yeah,
or 2%.
Yes.
But either way, I find that cash spends easier. You can get discounts.
Right. Yeah. How much cash price? You're
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Correct. I'm always asking.
If you're using cash, you should still be able to like barter or make a like, you know, I will give you. They're like it's $106. I'll give you 90 cash. All right, here we go.
Happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You guys to get yours, and I guys to get mine.
That's right.
Oh, let's see. Oh, did we want to talk about the treehouse?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I talked about it. Matt said we're going to talk about it later.
Okay. No, yeah. So he did. He had a main house off of the road there. And that was the one, I guess, was the meth house or whatever he used it for. Mm-hmm. But then he went back in the woods there and he just began, like, I guess because he had carpentry skills or had friends that had carpentry skills, they went and they built this elaborate tree house. Like, he even had his dad come over.
Oh, yeah, it was nuts.
Help him out with it. But it was about, what?
60 feet?
Yeah, 60 feet in the air.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and it had
electric,
steps. Yeah, electric, everything.
They were talking about they had to carry the appliances up there, like the stoves. Like he had friends over there to help, like move. These friends are all in the documentary talking about, like, oh yeah, we had to go over there and help them. Like they're taking like big washers, dryers, you know what I mean, shit like that, up
That's
60
crazy.
feet up into the air into the street. It was a cool looking treehouse, though.
It was really neat, and it was like a home, yeah, like someplace to just live, and it was all covered and had beds and sofas, couches. They said he would walk around there like nude all the time, like have chicks over.
Yeah, they showed it on the documentary. He's like, there's like he's walking around, you know, dick swinging, and it's all on this documentary. I mean, it looked like a good life.
But it was something, something you dreamed about as a kid.
The house that meth built,
Mm-hmm.
and he did it. Like he was like, I want a treehouse, so he did it. But then he said, like, you need money in order to do things.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
money helps to do things. Speaking of money, by the end of 1992, Skurlock had robbed 6 banks. Over the course of 4 years, Scott committed a series of 18 bank robberies across the entire Pacific Northwest, netting over $2.25 million in total. Each heist was executed with precision and flair, cementing his status as a master criminal. He earned the nickname Hollywood Bandit not only for his disguises, but also for the cinematic quality of his robberies. Despite his criminal success, Scott's personal life was in shambles. His relationships were strained, and his drug addiction worsened. Friends and acquaintances often described him as a tragic figure, a man who had all the potential in the world but chose a path of self-destruction. He lived a double life, fooling even those closest to him about the extent of his criminal activities.
This was a point, too, that I was, they were saying his relationships were becoming kind of strained, but he was taking advantage of the money they made from those heists. They just made enough that he would spend most of his time traveling. Like he would.
Oh, they were all over, yeah.
Yeah, he would go to all these countries just like enjoying life. And
Yep.
I think he had enough money for that at the time.
For sure.
But as he became more and more involved in this, and I think his mind wasn't working right, because he's like, oh, I did that. I spent this money, but I can do more. I can be more. I can be the biggest criminal out there. And it takes a toll on you.
I guess. I know that this guy was, so I read that too, Matt. So as much traveling and as much, eating out or fine dining or whatever he was doing, I didn't want to confuse eating out with the girls that he had over at his treehouse.
Yeah.
Hi-yo.
Oh.
There, thank you, Matt. I mean, that's not cheap.
No.
You got to keep, if you're going to maintain that kind of lifestyle, you need money to do that.
Neither of you would rob a bank. But if you did, how do you think you would launder the money? Like, what, did you guys have any, because I know how he did it. One of the main things.
So the easiest way to launder money is using a predominantly cash business. So like a car wash,
Ice cream truck.
Well, that's not even going that route. Just
Okay.
where could you take that money and easily?
7-Eleven.
No. That might work by like,
Yeah.
well, cigarettes were back then. Well, no, that was a little later. I'd say that last story or War Games, it was like $4.99 a carton.
Yeah.
But no, he went to Vegas.
Oh, gambling. Yeah.
So, okay, now this money's all, I don't want to say free money. They're working for it in a way, but say you steal $1 million, right? Cash. you go to Vegas, you go to 2 casinos separate and place a bet on opposing teams, you're going to lose that little vig, but you're always going to win.
Sure.
Now, that's what they were doing. They'd go bet on, let's say, Florida State, Alabama. So
they bet on both teams.
50,000 on them, 50,000 on them. They take their vig and you get 90,000 back.
You still
Makes
win.
sense.
It washes it. Yeah.
You lost 10,000, but you really didn't because it wasn't. Now you got 90,000 clean.
And this is back in the day when casinos weren't issuing 1099s to you for your winnings.
No.
There was no ink and paper involved. So I say that nowadays, if you go and you win enough, they're going to issue a 1099 right there. Like
you're going to flag it.
They will absolutely alert the feds, which alerts the Commonwealth, that, look, man, this guy won more than $600. He's getting issued a 1099 for it. Back then, no, they didn't do that shit.
Nope. Yeah,
There's no need to bring ink and paper into this.
Or even that when he enjoyed traveling back then too. If you had money, usually people saved money up. They would use cash to travel. So he'd go and, buy these tickets, which were a lot. Or when you go to these other countries, you would just trade that money in for their currency. So that worked out well too. I would have just kept traveling.
Yeah, so Vegas, that was like vacation for them. They'd go there. The guy was describing it. And they'd go place bets and, eat well and hang out.
This is good to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to Vegas in October.
And are you going?
Yeah, I'll be going to Vegas for October.
Nice. Well, that's football season. I'll give you some good picks. We're going to make some money out there.
I hope so.
We go visit the Raiders new digs out there.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I'll be there Monday through Thursday, so I don't know if I'll be able to catch a game. I don't know if they'll. If
Is that
Monday night game
for
or
business
Thursday night?
or pleasure?
A little bit of both.
Oh, nice.
A little bit of both.
Nice.
Well, we'll see. I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay.
right.
But I'm going to rely on those football bets.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I'm a
party star.
Thank you, Matt. I make football bets.
I'm
a teacher's pet.
Yeah, that's a good song.
All right, let's see.
Okay, yeah, this guy's all fucked up on drugs.
He's all hopped up
and
on
he's trying to make more money.
on Zoomies. In late 1996, Scott planned what he hoped would be his last and most lucrative heist. He, along with 2 accomplices, Mark Biggins and Kevin Myers, targeted a Seafirst Bank branch in Lake City, a suburb of Seattle. Thanksgiving Eve was chosen as the date of the heist. The robbery was meticulously planned, but things quickly spiraled out of control. Scott's accomplices were a little less experienced and more prone to panic, which added an element of unpredictability to the operation. During the heist, one of Scott's accomplices panicked and shot a bank employee. The situation only got worse from there. Their getaway van got stuck in Thanksgiving traffic. Ultimately surrounded by police, Skurlock made an attempt to open fire on the police, but his rifle jammed in his initial effort. Subsequent attempts at returning fire were made, but both Biggins and Myers were shot in the melee. Eventually fleeing the scene, the van and its occupants ultimately crashed into the side of a house. Police discovered Biggins and Myers in the van, along with makeup, clothing, weapons, and more than $1 million in cash spread on the van's floor. But there was no Skurlock. In true Hollywood fashion, he'd evaded police by jumping out of the van before it fled. Simply, while police had their eyes on the van, he'd escaped without having been seen.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's like a little misdirection there. Follow the van. Like, it's politics all day, right? So here's what I'm doing over here. Watch this hand. Don't look what I'm doing behind my back here.
Yeah. Do you know what they used to track them back then? They had these things called ProNet tracers, like an air tag.
Yeah, I was reading up on that. Again, I haven't seen this documentary, but I was definitely reading up on that. So with what I gather, why there was $1 million spread out on the floor of this van, they cracked open all the bags. Somehow, some way, they had learned about these AirTag equivalents, and they're just sifting through all of the cash, all of it. Just sifting. Where's the tracker? Where's the tracker? Where's the tracker?
Yeah, and they were doing it in the dark, and it was crazy.
Flashlights.
Flashlights. But when they were like in their prime, committing these robberies and stuff and doing well, they would like steal these vehicles, or they had this lady that they had that would get on the inside, and she was the one. And I still think that they don't have. They had this. Matt says they had this lady, and both Dave and I go, and then he says, yeah, they had to get on the inside. Sorry,
Yeah.
juvenile humor.
Yes, like they hired this lady or had her on their payroll, and and she got jobs at banks.
Yes.
And she was the one that was telling them, okay, they're putting these trackers in, they're looking for you here. But she would give them all the inside information on, you know, who the person is in charge of opening the vault, how many people will be there at this time, when usually the busy hours are. And they never caught this woman. I don't think they ever gave her up, right?
No time or anything.
That's awesome.
But she also, like Matt's saying, she told them like they would be trained there on like if a criminal comes in and says XYZ, like you need to do this. So they knew what to say when they'd go in, like the trigger words from the training to get people to do what they want. Like, you know, if they come in and
if they tell you to do this, it's a real robbery. You need to do this, this, and this.
So these employees are trained for, you know, these bank robberies.
If they hear words like gun, hostage, you name it, so the trigger words, then there is a reaction that the employees are trained to do. Okay.
So for them, it was almost like, oh, we just watched this. Like he said to do this. So yeah, we'll do this. And
that's really smart.
And these banks are insured. So it's kind of like,
just give
do
it
what
up,
they
dude,
say. We don't need like people getting killed or anything like that. Like you're not trying to risk your life for, you know, $90,000, $100,000.
It's funny. I was watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High the other day, uncut, loved it. So at the end when Brad is working at the bodega and the guy comes in to rob the store while
Sean Penn
is in the bathroom, and he, you know, Brad decides to fight back and throws the coffee at the guy and takes him down and does whatever. I can promise you that does not happen.
No.
Does not happen. That's why there's things like insurance, and that's why these clerks that are working there nowadays, even nowadays, are getting whatever they're making per hour. They don't give a shit. They're not the owner, and they're for goddamn sure not going to risk their life with somebody pointing a gun at them.
No, for sure.
And during the time where they were making all this money and robbing the banks, well, they would buy or have a person that they would just give money to buy like a vehicle.
Yes.
Then they would go like take the vehicle, put different plates, do whatever they needed to do to it. They would use that vehicle for the getaway, and then they would have a van that had like a false front. Or a false floor. Back, and they would get in. They would just go like 10 feet from where the robbery was, sit there with the money until, you know, all the cops are done doing their thing. They'd come pick the guy up and then head back to the treehouse.
Yeah, what Matt's saying is
that's
like
awesome.
Those vans, like if you're in the back breathing, there'd be condensation on the windows.
Yeah.
So they knew like, oh, well, we got to be like under the floor so that when we're breathing, there's no, because they're coming looking in the parking lot. They would rob a bank, go out, get in the van, hide in the floor, and wait. Yeah. Just wait, and they'd have a guy watching like couple streets over, like, hey, it's clear, and then they get up.
That's
and
awesome.
Drive out.
You just wait them out.
Right.
That's great.
And it was driving the cops nuts because, like, where could they have gone? How could they have gotten away so fast?
That's the thing. Yeah, you think you're chasing somebody, so they're still running. They're running. No, man, they're just laying there waiting.
They're hiding out.
And they thought they would get them with these trackers, like Dave said, and they knew about it from this girl that they had as a plant. So she was like, right away when you get them, go through the stacks, and they would just toss these things, and they were kind of used like the trackers they used in No Country for Old Men. You see what he was driving? It had that thing, like it's like like one of those beeper type things, and it was, I mean, very archaic.
It was using like probably radio frequencies or something.
But that's what it was for the time.
It's a box. It's amazing. It's a box the size of, you know, a small box of crayons, and it's got an antenna on it. All it has is one little light right in the middle of it that's either going to blink or not blink. That's telling you if you're close.
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing.
That too, what Matt said about the getaway cars, they would approach people that did not fit the description, like a heavyset woman. Oh, here, we'll give you $1,000 on top of the price. Go buy this car. So when they go back and find the car, who bought the car? Oh, she was like a heavyset woman.
Yep.
And now they're looking for a heavyset woman. Yeah. Nothing to do with the crime.
Smart.
People do stuff for money, though. That's what
yeah.
They're like, hey, do this. Like, okay, how much you giving me? Here you go.
This is back in the day before there was so many checks and balances put in place relative to paperwork and signing and blah, blah, blah. Like there was, hell, I can even remember in my 20s, I remember people were buying what they would call paycheck cars. They would just go spend $1,000 on a car, and it was just cash out of pocket. Here's money. Thanks for the car. It's done.
And just run it.
Just be gone.
Fall off. Also, around this time, a lot of his friends, Scott Skurlock's friends and acquaintances, were having these dreams, and they were warning him, like, "Hey, I had a weird dream last night that like you got shot."
Premonition, as it were,
stuff like that. So it was like 2 or 3 people that referenced that, and he kind of like blew it off.
But he wanted that one more big score, which everybody told him not to do. But it was funny, like people don't think cops know what they're doing, but I guess some of these cops had like actuaries and stuff sitting, like knowing when he would be running out of money like what would be.
They timed it out.
Yeah,
I
like
read
what
that
would be the
too.
best days that okay, he'll be running low on money come this date.
21,000 a month it was.
Yeah, so like okay, so you have these 3 weeks are going to be like his prime time to strike, and they had all these people doing these numbers and running these. It's crazy. So yeah, I think cops know a little bit of what they're doing out there.
Absolutely.
I saw that. So that was a very intriguing point. So they would determine when they could get it to the day when he was going to rob it. Then they had to calculate, all right, well, what's the location going to be? And I read someplace that the cops had the right day. They were just at the wrong bank.
Yes.
Yeah, like a mile away or something.
A mile or two away.
But those things you see on the movies where they have like the little piece of like red yarn going to all the thumbtacks and like these faces and that's real.
That's awesome.
That's real, man.
Oh God, I'm curious as to whether the woman, their inside, their inside
The inside
intelligence-
job.
yeah. Was she able to determine or convey to them, all right, look, peaks and valleys in a week here. This is when there's going to be like the most money at this bank, like on a
deposits and stuff.
Oh yeah, they knew they would do what's that? Recon,
Like
and
if-
see when the trucks pull up. And,
if people get paid on a Friday, like I remember being a kid and going, my dad would get his paycheck, and then he would come home and get the paycheck, or I'm sorry, he'd come home, get my mom and I, we'd go to the bank through the drive-through, and he would cash his check. So he wasn't the only one. Like Friday was by far and away the busiest day at the bank. I got to believe that if there's any day back in the day where there's going to be a lot of cash at the place, it's going to be a Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
but I think that'd be too busy of a day. You know what I mean?
People in and out.
Yeah, you don't want to be there too many people.
You'd have to catch them first thing in the morning. Friday, you ain't got no job.
Yeah,
I
right.
ain't got no car because I ain't got no job.
You ain't got shit to do.
That's right.
I got no lady because I ain't got no car to drive around in because I got no job.
All right. Well,
I remember pizza on Fridays when my parents got paid.
Pizza Friday.
Yeah, that'd
Pizza
be like,
Hut.
Yeah, every 2 weeks or whatever, whenever their pay was.
Get the book it.
I would sit there and play the little Pac-Man while we're waiting for a pizza.
there was a Journey game there for a minute. Journey, the band.
Was it
A
a
video
pinball?
game?
Yeah, there was a video game.
Oh, wow.
It was
At Pizza Hut.
It was a cocktail game.
Oh,
that
where you
the-
would sit down at the table.
Yep, you'd
Yeah,
sit
like
down
the
and-
Pac-Man.
Was that the one by Twin Kiss?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I just remember the Pac-Man one, the one you sit down on.
Yep, that was they had a Pac-Man cocktail, they had a Frogger cocktail,
Yeah.
and they had a Journey cocktail for a minute.
Huh.
Yeah, I just remember that book it. You get the pins, or it was a pin and they put stickers on it. And if you read so many books, you get a free personal pan
Oh,
pizza. Not
nice.
free, you had to read the
Oh,
book.
yeah, the book thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Wendy's when they had the like all you can eat buffet?
They had a buffet at Wendy's. I
Yeah,
don't
you could
remember
get like
that.
spaghetti.
Yeah.
They had like
That's
garlic bread,
fucking
macaronis. They had some kind of soup,
Remember they had that like
nachos.
they had like that sunroom too off like the one end.
Yeah, the one on Front Street I know had that up North Front Street. I still to this day miss Pizza Hut's buffet, man. That
It was a good one.
that was a banging deal too.
Breadsticks.
It
all
wasn't
that,
like
yeah.
$6.99.
Yeah, it was $7 for all the pizza you could eat.
For everybody out there listening, the younger crowd, like you can't get a cheeseburger now at McDonald's for $7.
That's crazy.
Fun fact: McDonald's is bringing back cheap food.
Yeah, I saw
I've
that.
seen
Yeah,
that,
$5.99.
They in fact have already brought. So they brought that back. They're bringing it back thanks to actually of all people Wendy's.
Oh, really?
So Wendy's offers that biggie bag or whatever. It's $5 or $5.99 or some shit. It's a burger. It's a 4-piece nug, fries, and a drink. Now, P.S. Wendy's nuggets are crap. They're awful.
Yeah.
But
Processed.
McDonald's sees that and says, "Yeah, man, look, man, times are tough. Thanks, Joe Biden. We got to bring. People are hungry here."
Yeah.
So he did that. Where you at, Matt? I did that.
No, I was just thinking about when you were saying. I was like, that's because everybody is at Chick-fil-A now. There is nobody I see at like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. You go to Chick-fil-A and you're in line for. Well, no, they move the lines fast, but I mean, there's lines every time I drive by there.
It's like 3. It's a 3-lane drive-through.
But they got their shit down. Like the person comes out, they're standing there. They
Food's
got someone-
good.
Yeah, guys come in helping you out. There's 3 people, 4 people standing there. They got workers.
They close on Sundays to go to church.
That's
gonna
right.
say, yeah.
Which we're down here in the basement.
The food is good. It's not processed over. It's not overly processed shit food. It's good, man.
It's the best, man.
Yeah, I give it to them. Chick-fil-A knows what they're doing.
They do. God bless you, Chick-fil-A.
That's right.
Maybe Skurlock, he would have tried to rob Chick-fil-A.
I would hope not.
Today's world.
I would.
He's
hope.
like, damn, look at all the money.
It is that's all credit card business though.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, they do.
That got me to thinking too. So this guy, like nowadays with banks, like there can't be as much cash moving through, like physical cash.
I can tell you all about the cash that moves through banks.
Oh, let's hear it.
Well, so not only is there such less cash, banks nowadays will penalize you if you deal too much in cash. That is to say, for certain account structures or certain account deals, like basically if you deal more in more than $25,000 a month in cash, like counter deposits, they will start to charge you. If you deal in more than $50,000 a month, they will charge you more. It's because that cash, banks have gotten lazy to the extent of everything's done electronically. Well, that's great. The computer's doing the work, which means that the bank don't have to pay that many, or I can pay less staff. However, when it comes to physical cash, I got to pay staff to count it. I got to pay for the vault space to keep it. I got to buy a money counter to go through it.
It's a lot more.
It's a lot more effort, and it's a lot more time. And so they will now, I promise you, they will charge you using, if you do at least counter deposit cash stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're using a courier service like a Brinks or a Loomis, I mean, that in and of itself is, hundreds, if not 1,000 or something a month. But again, that's because you're dealing in cash.
It's all cash.
Yeah.
You look over here, like in my basement, I have banker boxes with paperwork, important stuff in there. And then I could put all that on a little SD card.
Yep.
I could archive it, and that's hardly any space and really no work. If I want to look it up, boom, instead of paging through all that and whatever. So it makes sense.
Well, these little banks that are popping up too, I think in 15, 20 years, who knows? Banks are slowly becoming non-existent.
I mean, you think about like Venmo and all these little cash apps and things you use to pay for stuff and to move money around. And is it really money, or is it?
Is it?
It's look at numbers. Hershey Park and stuff. Also, I think they're cashless.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, you can't. There's places that you go that you can't use cash.
I guess you buy the cash up front. So it's from an internal control perspective, they're taking, instead of cash at 1,000 different kiosks and booths and tables and little cash registers, it's all up front, one big spot. It's like it's like the Bank of Hershey, essentially.
Yes.
You're going to Hershey Park, to the Bank of Hershey Park. Here's $1,000 in cash or whatever that's going into this machine that's now going to give me or cash or credit, doesn't matter. That's going to give me this magical debit card.
Yeah.
And that then becomes the Bank of Hershey cash.
Yeah, but they're getting you on that. Like Axel says, my hands are tied.
Yeah. All right. So this guy was robbing a bank with Biggins and Myers. All right. Meanwhile, Biggins and Myers would both go on to be sentenced to 21 years in prison. The injury to the bank employee in the Seafirst Bank robbery drew significant media attention, thereby intensifying the manhunt for Scott and putting law enforcement agencies across the region on high alert. The day after the botched heist, November 27th, 1996, Thanksgiving Day, would be Scott's last. Authorities were notified of a trespasser in a camper owned by Wilma Walker after her son had seen a man inside through one of the camper's windows. 5 officers arrived. Using pepper spray and tear gas, they hoped to force the intruder out of the camper. A single gunshot was fired from within the camper. Police, of course, returned fire, and after hours of waiting, they finally entered. Inside, police found Scott Skurlock dead, having shot himself in the head with his own pistol.
He had told friends and family members, like, when I go out, or I shouldn't say family members, I don't think they were aware of what he was up to, but like friends that were involved with him, that he would never go out like to prison. He would go out. He would walk to the white light.
Yeah.
He said
going
something
out like that.
Right. Like he knew, like, if he ever got caught, he's just gonna off himself.
Going out.
That's a good jam.
Yeah.
He's going out.
Cypress.
Yeah, but this got me to thinking as well, is like, what do you think? Like, I actually looked up like the #1 bank robbery of all time, the amount and the robbery. You know what it is?
No.
It kind of surprised me that
700,000.
that was nearly $1 billion.
What?
A what?
You can't even walk away with $1 billion.
Well,
With a B. Cardos go like this.
yeah, Saddam Hussein.
Oh.
Okay.
He brought trucks up to a bank and said, I'm robbing you.
The Saddam Hussein bank heist, Baghdad, Iraq in 2003.
El Baghdadi.
Nearly $1 billion. It was like 900 and some million. But just before the U.S. invasion of Iraq, they stole he sent like 3 guys over there and instructed them, hey, get this money out.
Yeah.
Because we want to get it out before the war starts.
Yeah.
and all that.
That reminds me of someone like SpongeBob. You got all these dudes with bags. Like 3 hours later,
Yeah.
like, they're still walking out with bags.
Exactly.
There's no close to $1 billion.
I'm just thinking of like the gold bullion and stuff heist
Oh, my
in Die Hard 2. Or,
Yeah.
No, Die Hard 3. Die Hard 3.
Oh, yeah.
With the dump trucks and they were under the dam. The one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's some other notable ones. There was the British Bank of the Middle East, and it was in Beirut. 20 to 50 million was
You
stolen.
see, these are all like these countries where there's like no law.
No.
Like you can just walk up like, hey,
I think the largest one I could find in the U.S. was in California. It was like 30 million.
Dang.
And that was like guys from Ohio that drove out.
I thought it was
and that's
Brody.
not on this list. Yeah, it was Bodie from Point
Bodie,
Break.
yeah, Bodie.
A lot of these are in England, London, UK. The Knightsbridge security deposit robbery, that was in 87. That was 60 million. And then what else we have here? Oh, Brazil in 2005, the Banco Central burglary, 70 million. And here's another one in Iraq in July of 2007, 282 million. That one that Hussein, they recovered a lot of that money, not a lot of it, but a good amount of it. But
Was it Ice Cube and Mark Wahlberg?
what
and
movie
George
is that?
Clooney.
Ocean's 11 or something?
Three Kings.
Oh, Three Kings. I don't know if I saw that. U.S. soldiers, I guess, they were saying went in and got some of the money. They recovered some of it, but a lot of them ended up stealing that money.
Of course.
It was all cash.
Well, yeah.
So they ended up, some of those guys were on trial then. I
Dang.
mean, when you're dealing with that much money, you're like, make a little disappear. You know
Yeah,
what I
of
mean?
course.
Nobody's going to notice. But yeah, I thought that was a huge number.
And I would agree. That is a huge goddamn number.
Yeah, but that's like, yeah, that's
out of bounds. You're not. That's
you can't even.
This
count
is a
that.
guy that's driving up, armored personnel carriers and
Yes.
just okay, everybody, throw the shit in the back, or you will be shot
Like,
with automatic rifle fire.
No, we're not. No, look, I'm bringing the tank in a second. If
Yeah.
you guys don't start listening,
So this guy shot himself in the head. Glock 17, 9 mil.
Mm-hmm.
good choice.
I have a Glock 27.
No safeties on this. Got to know what you're doing.
No, you are the safety. You are the one holding the gun. You are the safety.
I know his sister said too, like the last decade of his life. Now she didn't know any of this stuff was going on, but she said like she noticed a big change in him where he was taking major risks on even stuff outside of this that she didn't know about. That she, almost like he had a death wish, I guess was what she was kind of trying to say. Sometimes I think people just check out, and where she made a quote. It was something like along the lines of his life would end up being a dead end. Like in other words, like he's just gonna die someday, no matter what it is. Whether he was doing these zip lines like on his property, like
He would make up.
yeah, like 60 foot up in the air. Oh yeah, look, and he's making videos of it. I mean, he's just doing wild shit. Plus this stuff he's doing behind the scenes. Another movie they went to see a couple years later, him and a friend that was robbing these banks, was Heat. And in that movie, they were like, man, this is the most, these two guys that rob banks. They're like, this is the most authentic portrayal
real.
Of a bank robbery that we've ever seen. And they got really scared at the part with the shootout. And it was kind of like a foreshadow of what was to come. But so he knew like this life's going to eventually lead to either getting shot or getting in prison.
Heat was a great movie.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
You don't? Oh, you got to watch that one.
I saw it back in 95, I guess.
Val
it was when
Kilmer,
it came out.
Pacino,
I
De
saw
Niro.
it, but I just don't remember it. It's been a long time. But
Val Kilmer when he still had his throat.
yeah.
I don't think Skurlock wanted to get caught. I just think shit went so wrong at that time. I mean, I could see what you meant by like a death wish, but I think if they would have got away with this, I think he would have traveled, been somewhere. I don't think he would have been back into Washington State for years, maybe.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, you know how like serial killers and stuff start getting sloppy, and it's almost like they want to get caught. You wonder if maybe something's going on with him.
I just gotta wonder, in a serial killer's head, or even in no shit Skurlock's head, that you just get to a point where there's no way. You come to a realization that there's no way out of this lifestyle. I cannot see a way out. I'm sure I'll tell myself it's going to be the last heist, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it. But the lifestyle continues. The need for money continues. The whatever continues. You can't get out. You just can't. And so maybe, just maybe, that's why you start seeing the sloppiness, or the disregard for their own life, or the disregard for others' lives, or the you name it, or the willing to take more risks, because their only way out is death.
Right.
I think it was him pushing his friends away because of all the stuff going in your mind of thinking, am I getting caught? Because the guy was tall, thin, kind of looked like a 70s porn star kind of dude.
Yeah.
Good looking guy. Like he had a ton of friends in the beginning. They used to like coming over, hanging out at the tree house. It was kind of like being a kid again. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think once, like Zap said, once you get too deep into this, like trying to figure out a way out, you're like, oh, well, this will be my last one. This will be my last one. And then you're like, oh, I need one more. I need one more. So it's kind of like an addiction also.
It's never enough. Yeah.
Like he was addicted to drugs. He was probably addicted to the rush, the adrenaline feeling. That's something that would be hard to give up.
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting away with it.
Jacked up on goofballs.
Yep.
Hey guys, can you wrap it up?
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I think that's about time, though.
Yeah.
We've kind of milked this sponge for all it's worth.
no, it was a good story though.
Milky sponge.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy the documentary and then reading up on this guy.
I need to watch this documentary of which you speak.
It's very good.
It's really well made.
Very good.
And what's it called? How to Rob a Bank.
How to Rob a Bank just came out on Netflix. Like I think it's Matt, you found it first, so was it like in the top 10? I guess at that. I know in my thing it was like in the top 10. So it's a very popular.
I don't know. Yeah, I came across it. I was looking for something to just keep on in the background. I don't know if I was like sweeping or doing stuff around the house, and caught my attention.
I definitely enjoy ones where that's kind of fresh in everybody's mind. Like actually, we're gonna look out. We just did a podcast on Lou Pearlman. Well, they're doing a big thing on Netflix on Lou Pearlman. So I'm sure like people will be like, oh, I want to hear more about this.
We were there first. God damn it!
Was he the kid toucher?
No, Lou Pearlman's NSYNC guy.
The Backside Boys.
Yeah. He like
allegedly
like, try these on.
He did. That's right. He jumped around on the bed with the towel.
I can make you a star.
Mm-hmm.
They have the other one too. The other guy that was from other kid on the Nickelodeon guy.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking.
That's
about.
a good story. If you guys want to watch that one.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that one yet, but I'm aware of it. But these ones that are like kind of like Dahmer, when we did Dahmer, people were like, I had Officer Vince. That's how he found us. He's like, I watched the Dahmer thing, and then I went on podcasts about Dahmer, and you're striking when the iron's hot.
Yep.
This is a hot show right now, and it was a documentary. It was cool to watch.
Yep.
And definitely, like I would have thought, like I said in the very beginning, I thought they made Point Break about him, but it's the other way around.
Vice versa.
Yeah, it was a cool one. I enjoyed it. So you guys got anything else in closing?
I got nothing.
Before I get yelled at?
No, like you were saying, while the iron's hot here, check it out. It's a good watch. I think an hour and 20 minutes.
Well worth it. So, and check us out. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram at Old Dirty Basement, on TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. Leave us feedback. Top of this episode, there's a thing that says fan mail. You can click on that, send us a text message. We don't see your phone number, just the last 4 digits. We promise we won't bother you. Just let us know what you like, comments, concerns, whatever. And I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.